Hi everyone, so today we're going to be sharing with you our final episode on our How to Vlog series, and today we're going to be sharing some tips and tricks on dealing with YouTube.
So there's a lot to learn, and if you haven't ever done anything with YouTube before, it can seem really intimidating and that there's all these things that you're going to need to do. Fortunately though, our first tip covers most of those, and that's read through the YouTube Creator Academy.
I have not done this, but Ash has done it on my behalf, and you kind of explained to me the gist.
Pretty much. They have loads and loads of online lessons that they call them, where they'll go through several key areas of things that you need to know, but they'll also have prepackaged like courses that you can kind of work through at your own pace, all completely free, and you just go through and they'll teach you about varying elements. Two that I can particularly point out as being quite useful if you are starting from scratch is Jumpstart Your Channel, which contains a whole bunch of tips and tricks for getting started and how you just begin the whole process basically, and it covers an incredible range of topics and it's straight from YouTube themselves, so you never have to worry that the advice you're getting is bad or wrong or doesn't seem quite right, because it's from YouTube, so you can trust it. And it is really good and tells you exactly what they're looking for in videos. Another one I can definitely recommend is, let me get the title right, is Measure Your Success with YouTube Analytics. And I can definitely recommend that one because that rolls nicely into our next point, which is after you've made your first video, use the analytics to inform you about what you need to do in your videos from then on. And this was one of the things that we sort of tried to do when we did our first vlog. And it was look at all of your retention, all of your view stats, look at your traffic sources, and try and use that to tell you, okay, what did people like about the video? Why did they stay? Why did they leave? Let's make sure that the next one we put out tries to hit those notes a bit better. And I think that's a really big part of sort of dealing with YouTube, is just use the massive amounts of information that they give you and make sure you try and continually roll that into your next YouTube video.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing we did with the vlogs. Like, I didn't edit them all in one go. I think I edited like the first two, and then we put them up and we had a look and checked where like retention dropped and where it peaked, what people were liking, what they were disliking about it. So as you said, in the vlogs coming after that, we could tweak it slightly to fit a little bit more about what actually people liked.
And this is, again, one of those things that just seems incredibly daunting, but that's why I recommend going through the lesson on it and just giving it a go and just taking a look and seeing what you can learn from it, but not be put off by all these graphs and not knowing what they mean, because there is almost always a YouTube help page that will tell you exactly what that page shows and also what that means for your channel. And it is pretty much all there in the Creator Academy. They also have some fantastic tips under the heading How to Grow Your Channel, which you might find particularly useful if you've started making videos already, but you haven't seen kind of the growth that you were hoping for, and you want to reach more people and share your video with more people that are going to be interested in it. That one is a very good one to read through, and just try and bear in mind all of the tips and tricks that they've got whenever you're doing your titles, your descriptions, your thumbnails, because all of this matters and is how people find your video, and paying attention to all of those means you can reach even more people. I'm not going to go into detail on those because there is far too much to talk about in a video, and it is all written there on the YouTube site. These are also regularly updated, so make sure you keep checking back and making sure that their latest version doesn't say to do something that you're not doing, or not to do something that you are doing.
That is a twist on words. Something you're not doing and not something you're doing.
Now our next tip would be to render early and make sure that you have your editing out of the way. Especially if you are not partnered with YouTube and don't have access to scheduling your videos. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you have everything done and ready to go as early as possible. We've actually got a little bit bad at this lately, and it has resulted in a couple of times where a video's gone up late or hasn't quite worked out, or there have been some other technical difficulties, and there's nothing worse than really wanting to upload your Friday vlog with your big holiday trip and your internet cuts out or something like that. So just try and get everything as ready as you can be, and yeah, just make sure stuff is ready to go.
Would that also count as like knowing your internet speed and knowing how long things do take to upload? Because we're quite lucky here, we have invested in pretty good internet, so we can get, you know, a video up, rendered and up within like 2 hours probably, less than that.
Depending on the length of the video, sometimes we can get them sort of from finished editing to uploaded and done and processed and everything on YouTube's side in about sort of an hour and a half.
Which is really good, because I've seen some people say it takes a whole day to sort of upload a video. So you really have to know your time frame from YouTube. So even maybe put up a test video.
Which is a great idea.
Just even if it's private, just so you know how long it's going to take you to upload and process a video.
The other side of that is the YouTube processing. This is something that they do once they receive your file. That can take anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours to happen. You don't know when it's going to start. It sometimes doesn't start straight away. So always try and be earlier than your video deadlines, if possible. Now, they have changed this recently in that you can't apply to partner with YouTube and get access to some of the advanced features like scheduling until you've had 10K public views. That might seem like a lot, but just keep producing content until you reach that number, and after 10K, definitely look at it, because there are some absolute perks of getting that done. I think scheduling is the most valuable feature. Being able to upload a video on the Tuesday and say, okay, this is our Friday video, it comes out on Friday, 5 o'clock, and that means that YouTube can take the video, you can upload it, they can process it at their leisure, and it's always going to be ready to go. So that's definitely one to look into. Speaking of rendering, again, refer to the YouTube guide for things. They've got loads of help pages, and one of them includes render settings. So if you're new to an editing process and you don't know what you should be doing when you export your footage, just read their guides. It has the exact specifications of what they're looking for, and if you can make your video meet their expectations, the whole thing will be a lot easier. As is becoming a recurring theme in this, always use Google as your main source of information. They have a wide variety of documents specifically written, and they are the only ones that know their policies, truly in and out, how they're going to be applied and everything like that. And unfortunately, whenever you Google for help, you will find these blogs that say, we know how we can get you 10,000 subscribers in a month super easily. And unfortunately, their techniques usually fall into several categories. Either they are effective, but against the terms and conditions that Google like to apply for things like misleading practice, or sort of just in the spirit of their rules, misleading consumers is one of the things that they're really against. So it'll either be something like that, it won't be effective at all, so it won't be doing you any help, or in some cases it will actually be the opposite of what Google is looking for, which can hurt your video and hurt your video rankings. So always look at what they tell you themselves. There's a lot of misinformation out there, especially on subjects like fair use, what you should put in your tags, what your descriptions should consist of. YouTube has the right answer here, and I cannot stress it enough. Using third-party sources that are making their best guess as to what YouTube is looking for it's at best going to be ineffective. And it's just not really worth going down that route, because you end up doing all of these things that YouTube can later decide, well, actually that was a pretty spammy thing to do, so we're going to take some penalties against your account, and that is a thing you do not want to have happen. So if you do find any tips from any of those third parties, always try and run it past the Google YouTube help docs. They'll have explanations of everything, and if you can see what this tip is suggesting is something that's in their guidance, great, absolutely go for it. If it seems to conflict with the YouTube guidance, I would stay very well away. You don't want penalties against your account. That is, it can really affect how your videos are seen by people, it can affect the features you have access to, and it is not a fun place to be in. If you do find yourself in that situation though, again, refer to the Google help documents. They've got them all up on the Creator Academy. They will tell you as much as they can about the situation that you're in and how to get it resolved. Almost everything on YouTube has a dispute function. So if you think something's happened to your channel, look up the documents, see if what they're saying matches up what you think has happened, and then submit a dispute and wait for them to get back to you. It's an unfortunate side of YouTube. It will probably happen to you once or twice, but it's nothing to be scared of. We've had a couple of instances where some of our music's been flagged, but it's music we have the right to, so we submit a dispute and everything's fine again. And it's things like that is just not worth getting worked up about. Just try and stay calm, follow the process, and follow exactly what they say to do in the online documentation.
So another point that I think is really important is your branding, and basically so people know that your video is your video without even clicking on it. Like they just
Yeah.
know. Like when I'm scrolling through my subscriptions, sometimes I instantly know the channel just from scrolling past it, because they'll have the same font style, they'll have the same borders, they'll have the same text design. Like I already know that that is that person, or they'll have their face in the thumbnail. Like it's whatever you can do and use to grab people's attention and know that it's your products or videos that they're like clicking on.
One of the things I think is really important to think about from this is that not necessarily that you don't have to set out with amazing branding. If you're just starting up and you're just going, right, I'm dealing with YouTube for the first time, I want to make a channel, I want to do all of this stuff, you don't have to be a perfect graphic designer or go out and spend lots of money on getting someone to do you a logo or a nice photo or an avatar or something like that. Just think about what kind of style you're trying to represent and just try and make sure that everything is consistent. You know, if you use a lot of blue in your thumbnails, don't make your header image like a bright yellow. You know, if you saw those two things on the same page, you'd kind of think it doesn't go together. So pick a color scheme, pick like a style, pick something quite simple, I think works quite well, but something that you can do every single time so that people will see it in their subscription box and go, that's a video from that channel that I like. And this was why, I don't know if you saw a while back in our weekend vlogs, I was going through and remaking all of our holiday thumbnails. And that was purely because we'd kind of updated the branding a bit. And so instead of having these old style thumbnails, we'll throw one up here. Look at that glorious masterpiece of starting out.
Sarah, remember to put up a thumbnail.
And while I didn't like this style, it was the best that we could do at the time. And one thing we did was we made sure that they were very consistent. So I'll show a couple more. You can see how they're all in a very, very similar sort of visual theme. Now, when later on we changed our style quite a bit, and we wanted to go a bit more simplistic, a bit more minimal, we came up with a new design that I kind of like still. I mean, it could definitely do some work, but I like it for now. And we wanted everything else to look like that current style, so that if you ever scrolled through our video page, everything would look the same. And it was a lot of work to go through and update these, but consistency was really worth it in the end. So I mean, here's our new style.
Bing.
And back to the old style.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not great. So it's much nicer having a page full of videos that look like the newer style, and that consistency has really helped. You can see our videos, well, I hope you can see our videos are all our videos.
Sometimes I like the look of our thumbnails when I'm scrolling through, because I'm subscribed to our YouTube channel but on my own YouTube account, and I'll be like, oh, this looks it, oh, it's us.
And that's one of the things I think gets forgotten about, is just keeping that consistency, making it fit right with the style that we picked way back in week 1. You know, if you've gone very sort of cinematic style videos, but you have a very sort of quirky, cartoony avatar, maybe that won't sort of gel together very well, and just make sure that everything is consistent, even if you know that it could probably be better, because our bright graphics at the beginning definitely could have been better.
I don't really know much about graphics, so I'm just going to be like, okay, yep, bye.
But you remember the old style, right? With the
ice creams?
The bubbly font and the ice creams everywhere.
I like the ice
and
creams.
Nothing tying together.
I really liked that. I liked the ice creams. I liked the colour because I chose it. I liked then that we went to Tsum Tsums because they were versions of our faces. Although I do really like the scalloped edges that we have now. That was like... I mean, to do that though, I will mention that we did go through a lot of other people's YouTube channels, just looking at their branding as a whole and kind of piecing together what we liked out of other people's. So actually quite a lot of ours kind of came from the beauty blogger community that I quite liked. Their name just in very simple font on the top, but because I don't like plain and simple, we had to have something. So we had the little, my favourite colour, blue, and all the scalloped edges. And we changed the font as well, didn't we? From the like scratchy bubble font.
So I mean, yeah, while consistency is important and very nice to think of, you aren't tied to anything forever, and when it's time for a change, it is time for a change, and you can do that. And that's fine. It's your choice and it's your channel. So
I think there's some pretty good tips, if I do say so myself.
The main one definitely being read the YouTube Creator Academy. Read it from top to bottom as much as you can, anything that looks interesting, and just absorb as much as possible. It will seem daunting, you don't have to remember everything, but just give it a look over so that you know where to go for when you have those questions. And it'll give you some great advice.
So I think that pretty much rounds it up. So thank you for watching our How to Vlog series here on YouTube. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching this video. Really hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and why not subscribe to our channel? You can also check out one of our other videos that should be on screen right about now.